morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Indiavision. How many of you have actually aspired to be a movie actor or actress? Well, today in our studio, we're very honored to have Mr. Mohan Agashe from India with us. He is, at the moment, the director of the Film and Television Institute of India. And he himself has acted in several different movies, ranging from Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, as well as English movies. So let us move on to him and ask him a lot of questions today. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you finding your stay in Copenhagen?
Very relaxing, as against my days in India or Pune, especially my hometown. They are so much filled with activity. I hardly have any time to breathe. So I find it very good. Completely relaxed, complete different relationship with time and space. So it's nice.
Well, let's move on and talk a little bit about your history. Can you please explain to me, according to what I understand, you've studied a lot of medicine. So how did this acting come into your career?
It wasn't anything special. I think a lot of things are already in your career when you are young. And I'm sure, especially when you are in school, a lot of activities are covered under the title extracurricular, they call it. And it's many times that extracurricular becomes more curricular than the curricular itself. So I used to do plenty of things, not only dramatics, elocution and swimming and cricket. And by the time I came to professional college, medical college, then time doesn't permit you to have so many activities. Then you really have to focus on one or two at the most. And since theatre is a time-consuming activity, when I opted for theatre, it was just medicine and theatre. And in fact, my love for acting became serious. Hobby became rather serious hobby when I was in medical college. It's because primarily I met a circle of wonderful friends who were so passionate, and not only passionate, so talented, that we formed an excellent group in medical college, to the extent that all 5 years I was in medical college, nobody else could get any prize in theatre. And the people who were with me, Dr. Jabbar Patel, who became one of the eminent theatre and film directors later on, Satish Adekar, who became a very well-known playwright and a dramatist, two of my other colleagues, doctor colleagues now, were fine actors, and after pursuing the career, when they got married and opened their own hospitals, then it was again constraint of time which didn't permit them. But if they had stayed on, they would have probably put me out of the job and would have been better actress.
So how many years have you been in this profession then?
As long as I can remember, I started theatre a long time ago, way back in 69, 68. In the last years of my medical school, I started acting in outside groups. And by 73, all these friends, we were together to form our own theatre group called Theatre Academy, Pune, which was to become known for next 20 years, to the extent that it was held very high all over India for the productions it did. And one particular production of a play called Ghasiram Kotwal, written by Vijay Tendulkar, became a trendsetter and a milestone for its innovative use of folk, and ran for 20 years and practically in original cast. There are no plays all over the world which have run for 20 years in original cast. There have been plays which have had a run of 25 years, but certainly not in original cast. And then that actually brought me all over India. This play was practically seen by every film and theatre personality, and that's how I got into films. Shyam Benegal asked me in 75 to play a role in Nishant, and later when we performed in Calcutta in 1978, 2 years later, Satyajit Ray offered me a fine role in the first Indian telefilm called Sadgati. And with me there was Om Puri and Smita Patil. And that's how I got into films. But like it is that it's not in your hands where you are born and to whom you are born, and you start there. Since I started my films with Cham Benegal, Govind, Nihalani, Jabbar Patel, Satyajit Ray, it became a sort of orbit for me, which is called art cinema orbit or parallel cinema orbit. And so I did not really have any struggling days, which I can report that how much I had to struggle and roam around from pillar to post. Had to live with practically no money, and no, I didn't have that. And I had fairly smooth sailing, comfortable, and I could do 1 or 2 films a year, with which I was quite happy, because all other times I was busy working in the hospital, pursuing my post-graduation in psychiatry, which is good enough for acting also, psychiatry. And after 85, I had few offers. I did a film with Aruna Raje, in which Hema Malini and Vinod Khanna acted. It's called Rihai. And that brought me in touch with our mainstream cinema people. And in '93, Subhash Ghai offered me main villain's role in his film Trimurti, which unfortunately became also the first major flop for Subhash Ghai. The film didn't do well at all at the box office. Though I think I was not bad in the film. I think I was very good in the film.
Well, no actor will ever admit how they did the performance. But would you say that...
No, I don't mind saying it. I'm saying it's a bad film.
So do you think, because the movie flopped, do you think that will affect your career in any way?
Not necessarily, because earlier successful movies have not affected my career in that sense. Now what happens? Suppose if it was a big success and I was loaded with films, what would happen? Either I would repeat myself, and so if I would continue to act for 10 years, I'll probably cease in 3 years by overexposure and repeating the same thing. You can't repeat. And it's practically impossible that in each of your performances you can give something new if it is not spaced properly. I can't stand the idea that every day you get up and like you go to office, you go to the studio and shoot. That's not my style. So I think I need time. If I have to play a character, since it's not myself, it's a character I have to play, I need time to know that character, to absorb it, to get it into my system. And, so I'm happy not to act every day.
Sorry. Would you call yourself an art actor or more of a commercial actor?
I wouldn't call myself anything like that at all. I would leave it to the people who see me. And I'm quite content that if people recognize me as an actor, and depending upon what your target audience is, you have to change your concept of acting, your style of acting. And so when you do a film like Trimurti, you certainly know that what is expected of you as an actor is quite different from when you do a film like Sadgati or Target, because then it has to be consistent and it has to be uniform with the rest of the film. So you just can't be yourself and your own delusions now. And especially if you're doing mainstream cinema, which you know is basically targeted at masses, then you really have to take into account the level of perception of masses, and certainly not classes. So you have to communicate to masses. And so you have to, it's like you have to know when you are talking to somebody whether he speaks French or German or English. And so change your language accordingly. So what you have to say may be the same, but the language in which you say has to be different. It depends on to whom you are trying to talk.